Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday service. Drew's really thrown at the fact that there was no technical gaff there.
Everything works. It's just like, well,
Yeah.
no. Evening all.
Evening all. How you doing, Drew?
All right. Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, you're feeling better now, are you?
Well, mostly. I seem to. Every time I get a cold or anything these days, I seem to have this. I get this lingering cough with it, which sort of comes and goes throughout the day, and sort of hangs around for a month or two. But yeah, we're better than I was last week. Put it that way. When I was really feeling quite wretched.
Do you think that might be a bit of a COVID hangover or something?
I don't know, because I tested and there was nothing. So
no, I meant in terms of.
I mean, in terms of a couple of times I have had it, yeah, quite possibly. But it does mean that these things kind of knock me for six a little bit these days. But I mean, I'm not 25 anymore. I'm not even 50 anymore.
Speak for yourself, mate. I'm still 18, so there we go. So right, we're gonna dive in and say a big hello to everybody who's tuned in today. So I'm just gonna say
a lot of people already tuned in, isn't there?
I know, very good. So we'll catch up with everybody else halfway through the show. So hello to Peter Oxley, Damien Mullen, Theron Hampton, Kev Tinker, Nick Brown, Glenn Galley, Simon James Colley, My Planes Don't Fly, Lee Suter, Black Skunk Works, who says, hope you enjoyed the last night of the proms. I did. It was brilliant. Absolutely loved it. Can't believe it's finished for another year. Anyway, Dougal McWoogle, Stephen Pryor, Anne-Marie Ryle Gould, Mark Ryan, Mike Williams, Yoav Efreti, Anthony Bird, Mr. Ian Hartup, Greg Woodbridge, Jeff Baker, Andy King, Ofer Cohen, Rally Chefs Model Shed, John Huston, Derek Hersey, scrolls down, we are going to get t-shirts that say scrolls down, scroll.
We've been saying that for a year.
I know. David Fredrickson, Rob Sutto, John Connolly, Hobby Time, Rory's modelling page. Anyway, there we go. That's the end of the show, folks. Good night.
Cheers.
No. So big news, a big week for some news, isn't it, Drew?
Yeah, it's been quite it's been quite happening, hasn't it?
It has been quite happening. So
I mean, not in volume, but in, I guess, importance of announcement, I suppose you could sort of say.
We'll play catch up on a couple of announcements since you were last on. So the biggest of which, I think is fair to say, is Revell's 1/32 scale Meteor F8. Now, this was originally announced about 2 years ago, and it was going to be a 32nd scale F3. But Revell have acquired a new research guru, a gentleman by the name of Luke Slaney Hewitt, formerly of the Airfix parish. So one of Luke's first things is he's changed this into an F8. What do you reckon, Drew? Good decision.
He's very much hit the ground running, has Luke, hasn't he?
Yes.
I had the pleasure of having a very long chat with him at the Avon show last month, it would sort of, it feels to me a little bit like Revell have been a bit rudderless for a few years. Especially, was it Volker passed away, didn't he?
Yeah, Volker Valor, I think.
Yeah, he passed away, and it's felt to me a little bit like with the changes of ownership and things, Revell was perhaps a little bit rudderless for a while. And with Luke making the move, he's installed a gigantic rudder on the ship, and it's getting I sort of hesitate to make direct comparisons, but it feels like Luke has brought a lot of that current Airfix energy to Revell. In terms of getting out there, getting into the public, making decisions, sharing what's going on.
Yep.
Sharing what's going on. Not the kind of secrets and stuff, but the overall enthusiasm and ethos. He's very much about sharing it. And sort of this is the first, I guess you'd say, sort of concrete evidence of that, isn't it? Is the kind of switch from a Meteor F3 in 32nd to deciding to go for the F8, based on his knowledge, research, and kind of arguably sort of market feedback.
Well, here's what Luke has to say on the Revell blog. And let me just scrolls up. There's a new one. But he says, straight off, let's discuss the elephant in the room. In 2022, we announced that we would be producing a large-scale Meteor, originally electing to produce the F3 for the initial release. Unfortunately, the design and development of the kit stalled very soon after being announced and has not progressed for a while, whilst the team have been working to resolve a number of issues. It became obvious to us that the market actually wanted a different version. The F8 appeared to be the preferred option. We've listened and can confirm that the 1/32 scale Gloucester Meteor will in fact be released as a Meteor F8/FR9. Good decision.
I can't. I mean, I kind of. Whilst I think it's a great decision to go for the F8, I understand why they originally went for the F3, because it was World War II. And currently World War II still sells.
Yep.
So I kind of, I don't think going for an F3 was a bad decision per se. I just happen to think that going for an F8/FR9 is a much better decision.
It's a much more sound commercial decision for the simple reason you can hang more color schemes on these.
Well, absolutely, but it kind of and you know it kind of fits in with that whole, you know, with their Hunter and stuff, doesn't it? So it kind of it continues that kind of line of that kind of line of subjects, if you like. And like I say, I completely get why they chose the F3. I just think the F8 is a better choice. You know, I kind of saw a lot of people going, "Oh yeah, I don't know why they chose the F3. It was such a stupid market decision." I'm like, no, not really. I get it. I do understand it, because World War II still sells.
Yep.
I just happen to think that, like you say, with so many thousands of these built and so many users, the F8 is a significantly better decision for them to make. So and again, it's the kind of transparency in showing all the research they're doing, and you know, kind of answering questions almost before they get asked.
Yep.
If you like, it's like he's covered the fact that yes, we know this. We know that some of this is not production stuff, and some of it's test meteors and that. We get that. We're filtering. You know, we're filtering for that.
Yep.
In order that what we get is a straight production. A straight production meteor. So, you know,
got a question here from Ian Hartup, who says, "What's with that dorsal intake?"
Again, one of the test subjects of some description, Ian. It's not. I don't actually know. Somebody out there will know. They've scanned this, and they've also scanned the prone one at Cosford, haven't they? Amongst other meteors. So there's a lot of stuff that they've scanned that, like I say, Luke is very, very clear that they are filtering for those kinds of non-standard modifications, if you like.
I'm just going to read what Luke says here. He says, "You may be scratching your head as to why we are scanning another non-standard airframe. Surely that's a surefire way for a mistake to creep in. You'd be right to question it. In fact, we were using this airframe as it has the early style canopy, early ailerons, and also the wider diameter air intakes that the other airframes scanned do not." So there we go.
So there you go. They're filtering for specific features, which is, you know, which makes sense. And hopefully they'd be able to make available the kind of data for the non-standard bits for perhaps for the aftermarket if they want to do it. It'd be that would be a. We're seeing increasing levels these days of large companies sort of working with the aftermarket manufacturers in terms of giving them stuff early and stuff like that. So data like that would enable the aftermarket to do those non-standard things. Can you imagine a 3D printed prone nose, which would be a plug fit onto that kit?
Yep.
It would be entirely capable of they'd be entirely capable of doing it. And you can imagine a one-piece sort of 3D printed prone nose with a vac form canopy, maybe. It's there's so many people would I think love to be able to produce that. So no, I'm really impressed with this kind of energy we're seeing from Revell, and I hope it serves to rejuvenate the brand in maybe some in some sense the way that Airfix has been rejuvenated over the last decade or more.
I'm just looking at my crystal ball here, Drew, and I can see you and me building 30-second scale meteors in the next couple of years, because it's such a fabulous subject. And
I have made Luke aware that I am available. I am available on a consultation stroke building basis.
No, I think personally, I can see us both building that.
Well, I would like to do. I loved building the Airfix FR9 in the medium sea grey, light slate grey scheme.
Yep.
And I'd love to. I would really like perhaps to have a run at that in 30 seconds as well, because that would be an impressively. The thing is, a lot of people don't really realise, and something that I can always remember from my first experience of building the Airfix Mark III when I was 8 years old, the Meteor's a big aeroplane. People think it's sort of like the size of a Spitfire or a similar World War II fighter. It's much, much bigger. It's a big lump. And in 30 seconds, that is going to be a big lump. It really is. It's the size of it's Mosquito stroke Messerschmitt 110 sort of size, if you like. It's of that chunkiness.
And Luke did say in the blog that he did refer to it as an F8/FR9. So
yeah, well, some of the pictures they're showing show they've used FR9 bits and stuff like that. So they are he has said FR9. So as the major changes, bunging a new nose on it, it's a kind of drop fit, isn't it? It's an obvious modification.
Here we go. Mike Williams comes to the rescue. He says, re-dorsal intake VZ608 originally served with 208 Squadron as the standard FR9 before returning to Gloucester's for testbed duties. In 1951, VZ068 was transferred to Rolls-Royce at Hucknall for reheat trials, and in 1955 was used by Rolls-Royce as the testbed for the RB108 lift engine for the short SC1 programme. By removing the main fuel tank, it was possible to install the RB108 behind the cockpit. The orientation of the engine could be altered in flight to simulate vertical flight. Brilliant. Well done, Mike.
There you go.
Absolutely. And Dave Fleming sums it up much more succinctly. He says lift engine test bed from Newark. So, but yeah. And also
Mike gave us a description, Dave gave us a cliff notes.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. No, thank you, gents, both. James Ray makes a very good point. He says, next up, a 30-second scale Canberra.
It's not, Revell have.
They like big aeroplanes, don't they?
They've covered some big 30-second, Heinkel 111, stuff like that. They've done some
Junkers 88.
Sorry?
Yeah. Junkers 88.
Yeah. So it wouldn't
Heinkel 219.
Wouldn't be beyond the realms, would it?
Heinkel 219 is a big aeroplane.
Yeah,
I think we exactly.
Yeah.
Rory's modelling page asks, is there a decent Mark III kit available in 1/48?
Tamiya.
Yeah, Tamiya.
There you go.
No,
There you go. Problem solved.
probably absolutely. I built that. Goodness me, I built that when it first came out in 1997. We did the wibbly wobbly effect.
Was that when it had that which was originally a Mark 1, wasn't it? With the
It
wrong wing?
was. I built the Mark 1 when it was erroneously released with Mark 3 features, and I did it for Scale Models magazine, explaining how to correct it into a proper Mark 1. So, but it's a beautiful kit.
I mean, when they released the Mark 3, they had obviously by that time it was the correct wings, but they also retool it to be a correct Mark 1 as well at some point.
They did, yeah.
Didn't they also modify the tooling so it would be a correct Mark 1 sans air brakes and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, they did. They did go back and correct the kit. Into
so not only was it wrong when it was reissued, they corrected it. It became correct with its proper Mark III canopy and stuff, and they also did a bit of minor retooling so the Mark 1 would subsequently be correct as well. So you know, kudos to Tamiya. It's a nice kit as well. It's a very, very nice model. It's very nice model.
Absolutely beautiful. I mean, goodness me, that's coming up to nearly 30 years ago that came out. But
I know.
Yeah, Rory says I thought it was something to do with it being a Mark 1. No, it was a Mark 1 with Mark 3 features. They trusted an airframe that was a bit, well, I think they trusted the Cosford one, didn't they? Which was a bit of a mishmash, bit of Frankenstein's monster of a.
But to their credit, they put it right.
Yeah. There we go.
They made the connections, the corrections to put it right.
Here we go, Mike. Here's a cracking one from Mike. He says Revell could corner the market in 1/32 scale UK Cold War jets, Civics and Jaguar and Phantom FGR2. Do you know what, Mike? 32nd scale Jaguar. Ooh, yes, I wouldn't say no.
Perhaps a 32nd scale Javelin.
Yeah, but 32nd scale Jaguar, you can that can run and run.
Oh, very, 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 very much. I mean, I don't build 32nd, but yeah,
I will make an exception.
A 32nd scale Jaguar. Oh, you have my attention. Yeah, basically, if anybody does a new tool Jaguar, you have my attention.
Yeah.
You know, because I love the Jaguar. It's a fabulous aeroplane.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, like me, your love of the Jaguar was probably born of the Matchbox kit coming out in the mid-70s, and also the Airfix kit with the aircraft kind of racing over with the explosion going off in the background.
Yeah, and I also seem to, for whatever reason, I seem to remember that before the Tornado became sort of ubiquitous within the RAF, the Jaguar was a bit of a film star for quite a few years. There were a lot of RAF videos done showing, featuring Jaguars tearing through sort of like the Scottish Highlands.
I was just going to say
and stuff. You know,
I was just going to say I've got there were posters that were produced, and it would be like a formation of Jaguars heading straight for the camera.
Yeah, I know exactly the photograph you're talking about. I know exactly the photograph you're talking about. But yeah, it felt like in the late 70s and the early 80s when I was really, just getting into aviation and plastic modeling and stuff. The Jaguar was very much a film star, and we had a lot of them. We had just shy of 200 of them.
It's a fabulous looking aeroplane, isn't it? In fact, you and I have gone very dewy-eyed when we've been around the one at Cosford, haven't we? It's just such a beautiful aeroplane.
Proportionately, it just fits. Everything is right.
Yeah, it looks fast parked, doesn't it?
Yeah. The only handicap the Jaguar ever really had in its role was the engines were underpowered for most of its life. And it was a bit gutless at altitude when it was refueling and stuff like that, which is why they had the unique part throttle reheat option on the Jaguar, where you didn't have to be at full throttle to have the afterburners engaged.
Yeah. We've got
anyway, nobody's talking about Jaguars, and here we are talking about Jaguars.
It's the nature of the show, Drew. We do kind of like ping off in different directions. Dave Fleming makes a very good point. 32nd scale Sea Harrier, please. Now, I would argue, and actually Mike Williams agrees, FRS1, please. I would agree in as much as a 32nd scale first generation Harrier family. You can have this one for free, Luke. Is that I think that no brainer.
Yeah, it's thoroughly overdue. I must say.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, for all of these subjects that I don't build in 30-second, they're all kind of making me go, oh,
yeah.
So yeah. Plus, Luke, don't forget the the Buccaneer.
It's all right. My camera just went off for a second there, so I'm just turning it back on again.
Don't forget the Buccaneer, Luke. Just saying.
Well, next on the news, and I think this one. Well, this comes as no surprise, does it, Drew?
Well, this is another one that we've got to discuss because I'm gonna go against the grain and say yes. Actually, it's a surprise.
Okay.
A very pleasant one. But whereas people said, oh, they've done the A and they've done the B in both scales, the C is the obvious next one. Other companies haven't done that.
Mm.
You look at, Hasegawa, Academy, all these companies have done A's and B's, but they've never followed with a C because it's got literally, arguably 2 users, but they're both US services. It's kind of like the red-headed stepchild of the F-35 scene because it's got so few users. In spite of it, it's my favorite version of the F-35.
I was just going to say that this. I just think this looks fabulous when it's parked up with the wing. I know you don't like wings folded, but when it's all parked up with the wings folded and everything, I just think it looks absolutely.
It just looks like it's just a great aero. It's just a great variant with those big wings and tail surfaces, and some of the really cool weathering effects that they got when they were first on board.
Yes.
So yeah, it's it would seem like an obvious choice, but I'm still kind of pleasantly surprised they decided so quickly that they were going to do the F-35C. And with the A and the B, as far as I'm concerned, unless something else comes along in the meantime, it effectively closes the book on 48 scale F-35s, doesn't it?
Yep.
Why? Yeah, I understand that Hobby Boss have now announced a 48 scale one as well. Kitty Hawk have done one, which I'll let you. Yeah, there you go. But it's. Italeri have just released the 72nd scale one, which is actually very nice. And I think Italeri have also announced a 48 scale one. So the F-35C is starting to get a bit of momentum now. I guess as more and more of them enter service and get some, because they're getting some quite good squadron markings, to be fair. There is a bit of colour showing up on certain, especially on the F-35C. And the US Marines have just started taking delivery of F-35Cs as well. So they're a F-35B and C force. So yeah, I'm really very happy it's being released because it's my favourite variant. Plus it's Tamiya. Plus that means, again, I don't like to count any of these chickens yet because whilst it's obvious that there will be a 72nd scale one, it's Tamiya, and you can't take that for granted until it's announced. So
yeah, I'm going to say I'm pretty sure there will be a 72nd scale one.
It won't be a surprise when it is announced, but by the same token, if we're 2 years down the line and they haven't announced it, I won't be surprised either.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Talking of 72nd scale F-35s, you and I are currently ankle deep in these, aren't we? Because look at that, isn't that seamless? Yours are a little bit more advanced than mine, but I've just got round to putting some white into the bays and everything.
I love the fact that these bay doors are completely assembled here with the painted and deckled AMRAMs, and certainly on the Italeri F-35B, I spent hours trying to get this lot all lined up and get all the doors in place and all the rest of it. And the thing with Tamiya is they've designed it in such a way that you can make that as a complete assembly, all painted up.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yep. There we go.
But more than that, because I spent hours trying to get it all lined up with the doors, with the lift fan doors. Look, that drops in there like that.
Yep.
And then that drops in there like that, and it's just, you know, it's utterly perfect.
Yep.
And you know, why would it be anything else? Being as it's Tamiya, you know.
Yep.
The only thing that I kind of like, it's not a criticism as such, I don't suppose.
It's an observation.
It's an observation. Is that you can only do this in the Stovall configuration.
Uh-huh.
The kit has no options for everything tucked away. There's no straight exhaust or anything like that. So all of it is just set up for the aircraft in its vertical configuration.
Yep.
But it's just, you know, it's gone together as well as any kit I've ever built. Once I joined the fuselage halves along these joins here, and here, it was, and this is no exaggeration, it took a swipe with that and a swipe with that, and that was those joins dealt with.
Yeah, I'm just
Literally
holding them together at the moment, and I mean that's it. I mean you could almost get away with not doing a swipe.
Virtually, yeah. I mean the only reason I did it was to clear any you know, any excess glue that had squeezed out and stuff like that. But yeah, it's you know, the usual collection of superlatives for Tamiya apply. You know.
I'm just all I'm going to do is I'm just going to be sitting here going, yep.
It's just there's very little you can say, really, is there? I mean, it's like I say, that bit there, those doors. This is just Tamiya through and through, in that you can assemble that. That's all glued in place, and then it just drops in, and that's it. You're done. You know, that will take the merest dab of glue, and that's then glued in place on a finished model. Done. It's just, it's truly next level stuff.
I said
we.
I was getting fed up saying yes. So yeah, I mean I'm still a little bit ambivalent towards the aircraft, but I am just enjoying. I mean, this is the second one I've built.
But again, it's like you can be ambivalent towards the aircraft,
but it's a great kit.
The experience of building it, is, you know, it's a different it's a different sort of experience, isn't it? And, you know, but all the stuff like, you know, the vertical tails just drop in place, and you see I've started painting sort of various sub-assemblies as we go. So
in fact, I've just noticed that I've still got a little bit of a sprue tag on that there, and that's that taken care of.
And then hopefully you can see that this is my latest attempt to represent have glass, which is looking quite subtly nice, I think.
Oh, I am going to be absolutely lazy here, and I am just going to use. I've got some AK have glass, and I'm just going to use that because I used that on the Italeri one, and I got on fine with it. So yeah, I'm just going to blitz on with that.
So yeah, that's the.
That's the Tamiya F-35B fan club bit out of the way, isn't it?
Well, it's incredible stuff, isn't it? It's just superlatives. You run out of superlatives, don't you?
That,
I'm still kind of a little bit working on the Academy Strike Eagle bit by bit. I've got a coat of paint on it prior to weathering. Sort of test fitted the Taurus missiles there. So the ever controversial Taurus missile there. So
controversial because
Germany won't release them to Ukraine.
Okay.
Whilst everybody else is sort of giving Ukraine lots and lots of different cruise missiles and stuff, Germany still refuses to deliver the Taurus, which is a shame because it's got a better fuse than the Storm Shadow and will be more effective in a lot of regimes. But that's geeky. That's geeky nerdy.
What's the paint you use there for the grey?
The paint I've used there is AK Real Colour.
Okay.
Just because I had it there, and obviously I'll be dealing with the metal areas later on. So there. Andy King there says, "What are you tinting the F-35 canopies with?" I use a mixture of clear yellow and clear smoke. Seems to represent the colour fairly well, the tint fairly well.
Yeah, I haven't got around to that bit yet. In fact, I'm just going to have a quick look at the instructions.
No Tamiya have glass paint yet from Jeff Baker. Yeah, Jeff, no, I haven't got any yet. I'm not sure it's actually been released.
It's not. Yet. It hasn't cleared the. It hasn't cleared. What's the word we're looking for? The legal, the safety stuff for the UK.
Yeah. It hasn't cleared MSDS and all that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous because it's pretty much the same as all the other lacquer paint.
Yeah, but unfortunately,
they have to be cleared individually. Unfortunately, I'm just having a quick look at the Tamiya instructions here, and I can't see that it actually. I'm just going to bring it up on screen. I can't see that it actually says anything here about having to tint, about tinting the canopy.
No, they don't, but they clearly are tinted on the real thing. So,
well, because I'm going to be building this one straight out the box, I'm going to be extraordinarily lazy and not tint my canopy. There we go.
Okay.
There we go. Well, I've just got I've got other things I want to get on with. So right, the next news item, and this one really does. Oh, this is right up my street. This is Meng, and they are doing a new tool, 35th scale Volkswagen Kubelwagen, and this is going to be the start of obviously a family of them. The one they're kicking off with is the Type 82 Eastern Front. So there are some little design features on there that were germane to the ones on the Eastern Front. I think especially the extra jerry can there being carried over the rear bumper, the rear fender rather. But I mean, a bit like the Kubelwagen is, it's the German equivalent of the Jeep, isn't it? It's like how many colour schemes can you hang on it?
Yeah. When you stick a new body on that, you'd almost have a Beetle. Oh, hang on.
Well, and yeah, so this I'm trying to think, when was the last all new tool Kubelwagen we had? I know there were a couple, probably, but we're probably going back about 10 years ago. Tim Maunders,
to you on that. So
yeah, there was a company that did bring out a Kubelwagen about 5 years ago, because I started building it, but it was all right. But that's the thing; it was all right. And I built the Tamiya one, and the Tamiya, even the Tamiya one from about 20 years ago, it's still a staggeringly good kit for its age. But yes, to have a 21st century tooled Kubelwagen, especially one which can now be tooled using all the the design tricks and technology that kit companies have, I'm not going to say no, thank you very much.
No, that's the thing, isn't it? Is that technology moves on at such a pace these days that a tooling of 5 years ago is quite easily surpassed by a tooling from today, isn't it?
Yep. And there are some nice features on this. We'll come to them when we get to the images. I do like on this the way they've done the fabric effect for the covers on the headlights. Yeah. That's a nice touch. That's some of the suspension, which again just goes to show the I know these are CAD renders, but it shows the fidelity that can be achieved these days with CAD design. This was one of the things that caught my eye. That's the external jerry can, but it's just the stitching and everything on that fabric hood. Yeah. That is not something I've ever seen in a Kubelwagen in this scale. You're right there, Drew. Do you want to get a drink?
Oh, it's like I say, it's this cough that that won't quit.
And it looks to be really nicely efficient in terms of not.
Meng tend to be. Meng are really, in the very much the upper top echelon of model manufacturers these days. They are. I kind of put them up there with the very, very best from Eastern Europe and Tamiya and people like that. It's that they are, a serious entity.
Mm-hmm. And again, if we have a look at, you can see in that shot there the effect. The way they've done the kind of folds and everything on the canvas tilt. Again, I know it's a CAD render, but the thing
is, they don't tend to. People like Meng don't tend to show stuff that they haven't.
Yeah, they can't reproduce.
They haven't proved out, if you like.
Yeah.
So and in line with it, I mean, a lot of kits now you're starting to see sort of 3D printed parts creep in as well.
Mm-hmm.
As in standard releases. So it could be that they choose a surprising route for doing that sort of thing.
Mm.
But yeah, it's Meng. It's like the name is almost a guarantee of quality these days.
Yep.
So yeah.
Oh my goodness me! I will be all over that when that gets released, because I do like my Kubelwagen. I do like my Kubelwagens and Schwimmwagens, which again I know we're kind of jumping the gun here a bit, but I would not be surprised if Meng also end up doing a Schwimmwagen as well. It would make sense. But yeah, what color schemes can you hang on them? What color schemes can't you hang on them? In fact, one of the goodness me, it was one of the images didn't load up on StreamYard today. I'm just going to have a look to see whether it will. It's the color schemes. They give you some interesting options. Let's just see if I can live upload the picture. IMC show pics, Tacom. There it is. Is it going to load? Yes, there we are. So there we've got a nice tricolor camo one. We've got another one in just the standard kind of dark grey, but we've also got a captured one.
I like that.
Well, funny that, because one of the projects I've had on the go here for the last few years is actually it's the Tamiya Schwimmwagen, and it was a photograph I had of one being painted up by British troops in British markings.
Yeah,
and so that's what mine is. That's what mine is going to be finished as.
I mean, I wouldn't have thought they were hugely rare, sort of in 1940, late 45, early 46, on sort of airfields that were operating Spitfires and Tempests in Germany. I wouldn't have thought that was a particularly rare vehicle to see being used.
Nope, they would have been runarounds.
Tens of thousands of them left lying around, wouldn't there? So,
well, this is the thing, is that post-war, is that when Volkswagen restarted the Beetle production, somebody will correct me if I'm wrong here, but I do seem to remember that the Beetle was being produced under British authority at the time.
Right.
And I'm sure it was James May's program about the Beetle and that astonished me. And it was a bit hazy on this one, but it was something to do with the fact that the British government at the time just let the German government have the Volkswagen Beetle back. And it was like, and it went on to be the world's best-selling car. So, that's us in a nutshell. Yeah, I will be all over that as and when it gets released, because I do like my Volkswagen.
You do like a Kugelwagen?
Do you know what, Drew? At some stage, I will get round to building my Italy Reeboks of the Eschi one, because I've always wanted to build that. Yeah, the 1 night scale one. Yep, it's a beautiful kit. But I've got to pull my finger out and do something about that. Right, comments. Let's wait for Drew to stop expiring there for a second. Guys, it's not fun. Here we go. John Huston said Beetle production was offered to British manufacturers, but they passed. Oh, does that sound like the British? Yes, it does. And Rory says Britain had to let the German economy start up again, and everybody wanted cars. No brainer.
And that's exactly right. You know, as soon as World War II was over, it was a case of, you know, getting Germany back on its feet again, wasn't it? It was it had to be done. We had to find ways to get Germany to pay its own way again, so that it could, you know, wasn't a broken country.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we'd thoroughly broken it. You know, oh no, we broke Germany. But we had to get it back on its feet and running again. So it would be, you know, the powerhouse it now is, effectively.
Yeah.
So made perfect sense.
Next on the list, and this is Hataka, and they are doing some 10ml bottles of their blue line, which is their brush painting paint. I've got, goodness me, I'm just having a look at my shelf behind me. I've got several of the Hataka paints here. I don't think I've actually got around to using their brush paint, the blue line yet.
No, I've got loads of packs of the orange line airbrush lacquer. Got loads of those. They did some really strange, not strange, but sort of the slightly odder paints, like, you know, the German Navy Sea Kings and stuff like that. They did ranges for that. So I bought a lot of them, and I've very rarely used them, if I'm honest.
Well, I'm just having a quick look on my shelf here. I did start using their Fleet Air Arm colours the other day, because I'm painting up the Tamiya Wildcat, Martlet rather, and I thought, it was be a chance to try out my Hataka lacquers. My observation was they are very, very thin. You have to work quite slowly and methodically with them. But to be honest with you, I don't see that as a problem.
When did you get those, John?
Oh, goodness me.
Was it when they were first released?
Yeah, probably did.
Yeah, because there was initial batches of Hataka. There were significant issues with extremely thin and translucent paint.
Right.
And I actually managed to get a couple of my paint sets replaced with the updated ones when they came out, and subsequently they were much more opaque. They were much more opaque. Just good paints then, just good paints. But yeah, initially, because I had the RAF set early on, and you know, I used about half a pot of their Dark Earth on a 48 scale Spitfire, and I can still see the plastic through it.
Mm-hmm. There we go. These are my Royal Navy colours. So yeah, I don't. There's no indication on the back there what year or batch they are, but they.
Yeah, like I say, I've got So there's some Polish Air Force. There's the USAF paint set. Modern Luftwaffe paint set 2. Modern Luftwaffe paint set 4. Paint set 1. Russian. Like I say, they did so many really cool, or they do, I should say, not did, they do so many really cool. So there's a South African, flanker colours, Brazilian, Eagle colours, Israeli Air Force. They did so many really cool sort of sets. So yeah, I do have an awful lot of them.
Like I say, I will be heading out to get some of these brush painting ones. But here we go. This is their sky. Now that took quite a few coats to build up the colour, but it's absolutely beautiful. It's
a nice sky, isn't it? It's a nice colour.
Yeah, it's just got that little bit of desaturation to it, and a little bit of grey to it as well. So yeah, well, I'm just going to use the paints straight as they are. So, but yeah, Hataka. So some brush paints from them. Hello, Drew's got his.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Eagle set there. Just to see what was in there, and so yeah, you've got there's the 2 mod Eagle schemes, which is the modern sort of fighter Eagle. There's your original Ghost Greys, and then you've got Air Superiority Blue, and Gunship Grey, which is I mean, as a choice of 6 colours, it's really quite good, isn't it? As a basically you've covered nearly every Eagle scheme out there with that one set. So yeah, they were very nicely worked out sort of sets. So yeah, there we go.
Right, the last item for tonight, and you're probably all thinking, but JM, you haven't had any mini art on tonight. Well, we don't want to disappoint you, so here we go. Mini art have announced they are going to be doing a Junkers F-13, which this is going to be the start of a whole series of them. Oh my goodness me, what a colourful aeroplane!
It's a little cutie, isn't it?
I can see this being part of my modelling future, because
I love the windscreen.
Yeah,
it's so sort of so
Mickey Mouse.
It's so 1930s.
It looks very kind of Alexander Korda. It looks like something from Things to Come. It's just utterly. I'm slightly nervous as to how they're how we're gonna get round corrugation and seam lines on wings, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
It's always a problem, isn't it? I mean, I had that problem recently with the Devastator I built, the Hobby Boss Devastator. It just, unfortunately, it just takes a lot of time and care. But what a cute little aeroplane that is. Lord, look at that. Lord,
it's like they know what they're doing, isn't it?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? Yeah, yeah.
And that looks like that could be an area where there will be that they'll break that down there so that you're
that better fit.
It's mini art. It tends to, and again, that looks like that's probably going to be a single piece that just drops in.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these corrugated aircraft, they tend to be built up like Anderson shelters. They're so you are making them up in sides and things. I've not built any of the mini art aircraft yet. I've built some of their armor stuff, but I think it's fair to say their fidelity to scale can sometimes drive you nuts, because they go really small. They can mold things, and they can mold them small, and they'll break them down into lots and lots of parts, but they might not do it on this one.
I'm looking at that. I'm looking at that picture there, and from an engineering point of view, it's just occurred to me, if you go back one, why that exhaust is curved like that. It means that it'll drop straight. It means that the cowling can drop straight over, can't it, in the arc?
Yeah.
So rather than have a straight up exhaust where that would bind.
Yep.
It just means that'll drop straight. I like engineering, seeing little engineering things like that, and going, oh, that makes sense now.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sold on this, Drew. I can see us.
I think I could very easily see this in my future.
Yep, me too.
Could very easily see this in my future as just a cute little build. Yeah, I like that.
Not too much photo etch as well, which is good because I'm not a big fan.
Yeah,
of,
it's mainly seat belts and a couple of little like trim chains and stuff, isn't it? It's not
kind of integral to getting things together.
It's not
add-ons.
It's not overly complicated.
Bolt-on goodies, I think, was the phrase that once irritated Tim Perry to a great extent. We get Tim on the show to explain that story, but it's quite a funny story.
Bolt-on goodies.
Bolt-on goodies, yeah, it really angered him. But so out of these,
I like that. That's my choice.
Okay.
That's what I like. That really do.
See, I like that one. I like that. I do like that kind of.
There you go. It means we're not going to clash.
That's fine. Yeah, we can build different ones. But I do like that one as well.
Yeah, that is nice. That is nice.
I also like the fact that their other windscreen is a windscreen, so it looks like from the design that it didn't actually have a clear parts that went into the canopy. It's
yeah.
See, yes. So my other windscreen is a windscreen, so it didn't actually have a windscreen. It just had it did have a windscreen, but it just had tiny little flat ones. So good news.
See the pilot in the middle. Look, he's wearing the biggest pair of goggles ever.
Yes. Good news is that looks like that's less masking to do. So
yeah, because your work's going to be cut out just masking over all those corrugations. The main scheme.
Yep. Let's jump ahead to those schemes again because I like that one, but I'm looking at masking that scallop over the top of the fuselage, and I'm running a mile on that one. Whereas you still got to do it on that one actually.
Yeah, it's the same pattern mainly, isn't it? It's,
yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that. That has caught my eye.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, thank you, Mini Art. I think it's probably fair to say Mini Art I think it's fair to say we're probably fans of Mini Art on this show. You may have noticed that, folks.
That's probably not going to be much bigger than a Tiger Moth, is it?
No, it's going to be a tiny little thing, teeny weeny little thing. We are up to 25 minutes past the hour, Drew.
I'm still shaking this bottle of paint. Here's the thing about Hataka. They do take a lot of mixing.
Mate, get yourself one of these.
I'm going to get one of the Vortex ones at some point.
Well, the funny thing is, I did buy the other week. I did buy that, which was the Despy paint shaker.
Right.
But from what I can tell, in fact, we'll do because I haven't used it yet. OVS. It seems to work on a bit of a strange principle. Is that you actually have to drop something metallic?
Oh yeah. It's like,
into your paint.
Like laboratory mixing.
Yeah.
Where you drop a little sort of bead into the.
There we go.
Yeah, little rods in there, and it's.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
No, I think I would rather just because you're going to be constantly buying little rods, aren't you?
Yes.
Or chopping up nails.
There is that. But of course, being Despy, it gives you that kind of Apple experience because they know.
Yeah, very well observed. Yeah, it's the.
They know how to sell things to you, and just make it make you feel as though you're kind of like you're buying something quite special. So yeah, I'll get round to using that at some stage. The other thing I did get the other week, this is from Premium Hobbies in Western Supermare, just up the road from me. And I did get some of these Despy sanding sticks rather. Sanding sponges, they are sanding sponges, but I haven't got around to using them yet because I am absolutely wedded to my Infini ones. So too much stuff. Too much stuff, Drew. Too much stuff. So yeah, so these and these actually, he says, just getting them out of the pack. Again, being Despy, of course, they are beautifully packaged, but they all come in individual compartments. So isn't that fabulous, Drew? Look at that. Isn't that just...
there's multiples of each. It's not just one of each.
Yeah. So you get... actually, you get them, they're multiples, but they're different thicknesses.
Oh, I see.
So there you go, look. So, but yeah, I got that set, and I got the slightly coarser grit set as well. But I will get around to using them
one day.
It's just nice. It's just nice to have stuff piled up around you, and I bought them as well. But it's just nice to have stuff piled up around you that promises future.
I bought them as well. He says resentfully.
No, I didn't. I enjoyed buying them. Right, Drew. Here we go. Any other business?
No, not for me.
Other
business. I'm still sort of mixing paints here, so you kind of like gone back, and I'm sort of interested in Attacker again. So I'm going to do some paint trials.
Yeah.
But no, nothing new from me. I'm just
I've started. A couple of people have asked about DBMK. We've not mentioned DBMK. We will mention them, but we will cover them on a future show. So don't worry, folks. We're not ignoring them. It's just only so much we can cram into an hour-long show. So yeah, we will be there. I am just going to give a shout out to Mr. Christopher Packham, using my other head as a kind of like a wildlife broadcaster. He said grandly, but Chris is doing a print. They've got some prints available there, and in fact, he says here, it's Battle of Britain Day, always a big day for my dad. Many an Airfix Spitfire was made under his supervision. I've given up the kits to make paper cuts. Jealous have made some beautiful prints available here. So there we go. So if you're looking for a Christmas present for somebody, I think that's a fabulous piece of artwork, and I might even invest in one myself, quite frankly. And I've met Chris, and he's a terrific guy as well. So,
sure, that reminds me of. That reminds me of an XTC album cover.
It does, yes. And do you know what that reminds me of, Chris? I need to go out and buy some more XTC albums, because I was listening to Making Plans for Nigel the other day. What a great song. Oh,
Skylarking is a great album. Skylarking is a great album.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, we'll talk about XTC next time. Anyway, that's it, folks. We will leave you to the rest of your weekend. Big thank you to Drew for joining us tonight. Hopefully we'll see you again next weekend, Drew. I hope your cough clears up, certainly.
And you're not the only one.
And I'm hoping at some stage we'll have another get together, because yeah,
a month and a bit to go till Telford, really.
I was just going to say we need to start planning that, and also I have mentioned to Mr. Farmer about the job in the fire escape trade, and also accommodation for the weekend as well. So I'll catch up with him tomorrow. Until then, folks, we will leave you to your weekend. As always, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and please do post your projects to our public page, and we will see you. We'll see you on the Facebook page, but we'll see you live next Sunday if we don't do a pop-up live in the meantime. So until the next time, take care. Bye.
Take care all. See you later.